Welcome to the Sizzle podcast. Today is going to be a basketball podcast about the Phoenix Suns, and then I will also drop another podcast today about the Brooklyn Nets. So make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Go follow the Instagram. Go comment. Those types of things. Just give me just give me your full attention with all that kind of stuff if you can. I would really appreciate it. So far, everything's been going really well with the podcast. And a lot of people have seemed to be tuning in, and a lot of people have really enjoyed it, which I really appreciate. But if we could get as many people as we can, I would really also enjoy that as well. So let me start with the Phoenix Suns for the first episode of today's podcast. So the Phoenix Suns, obviously now in the Western Conference Finals, right, played great basketball against Denver. Every game they looked on point on both ends of the floor. They never really got down in this series. Denver really never was able to keep a lead or hold a lead for a long period of time. Phoenix controlled the series the entire way on both ends of the floor. They were a much better team. Yes, Denver was a very injured team. Probably would have made a difference in the series. But at the end of the day, Phoenix was able to take full advantage of what they were handed to. Phoenix took full advantage of that. And, now they're in the Western Conference Finals, and Chris Paul gets another chance to go back to the Western Conference Finals. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to see, because we know now, the news coming out today, that Chris Paul is in COVID protocol. He tested positive for COVID, but got the vaccine back in February. So that's why this is all kind of confusing. But he'll be out for at least 10 to 14 days if the NBA, continues to say he's positive. Otherwise, there's also a good chance that Chris Paul may go back and they may say he's negative because he had the vaccine. This doesn't really make a lot of sense. So obviously, something that we're going to keep an eye on in the next couple of days. I feel like we might get some better news about Chris Paul later today, that he's negative for COVID and it was just a false positive, and that Chris Paul will be back and ready to play against Denver. But either way, Chris Paul should be back and he should be ready to play in game one. Sorry, not against Denver, against Utah or the Clippers, because that series is going to game 5 tonight. Obviously, we know the news about Kawhi Leonard, very sad. But that series is in game 5 tonight, so we don't know how much longer that series is going to go. But either way, Chris Paul will probably be ready for game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, in my opinion, because it will be a while before that game gets played, too. Because they have to wait on the East, too. They try to line them at the same time, or around the same time, talking about the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. So they still have a lot of games to wait on and a lot of things to wait on. So Chris Paul should be back, and he should be ready for the Western Conference Finals. With that being said about Chris Paul played incredible the entire series against Denver. Obviously, we know how he played against the Lakers. But against Denver, he played absolutely incredible, especially in that game 4 to close out in Denver. 37 points, hit a bunch of big shots down the stretch in that game. Great defensively. Just Chris Paul is just showing the NBA and the entire NBA community what kind of leader and what kind of clutch player he is, because a lot of people had doubts about the clutchness of Chris Paul when he was with the Clippers. And now I think these last, and even with the Rockets, and now I think these last couple of years we have absolutely erased those doubts about Chris Paul. Last year with OKC, almost beat Houston, right? And then this year with Phoenix so far, I think everyone has completely erased those doubts from Chris Paul and realized that Chris Paul is one of the most clutch players in the league. And when the moment shines, or when the moment's the biggest, Chris Paul shines. And he's showing that this postseason. He's showing that he can step up and play in big-time games and be the best player on the court. And him and Devin Booker were the two best players on the court in that series against Denver, and it wasn't even close. And the way Devin Booker's been playing, it's just incredible to see Devin Booker playing at this high of a level in his first postseason series. So, in his second postseason series, but his first postseason appearance. Booker's playing incredible. Played great against the Lakers. We know what he did against the Lakers, right? But against Denver, just absolutely incredible. Super efficient, didn't turn it over, played his game, let the game come to him. He's not forcing shots, forcing passes. He's just playing very smart. He's playing within himself. And that's why Devin Booker is playing at such a high level right now. We know what kind of talent Devin Booker is and what he can do in terms of, scoring, isolation basketball. We know what he can do there. It's obvious. But what Devin Booker has been able to do in this postseason, not just scoring isolation, but also turning it over very little, getting other guys involved, playing the best of his game, right? Playing at a high IQ level, not taking bad shots. That makes Devin Booker's game go from a star player to a superstar player. And that's what you're seeing right now. Devin Booker is a superstar player right now. No question about it. Devin Booker is one of the best players in the world, and he's showing the world right now how good he really is. He's playing efficient. He's playing within himself. And really, I'm just absolutely amazed. Because coming in when Phoenix was originally the 2 seed, I didn't know how well Devin Booker would play. And I think a lot of us felt the same way. A lot of us didn't know what he would bring to the table, knowing it was his first postseason ever. And he has looked like he's been in the postseason 8 or 9 times already. He's looking like a veteran out there. He's looking like, he's 34 years old in the postseason still doing his thing. That's not the case. This is the first time Devin Booker's ever been in the postseason in his entire career, and he's playing like a veteran. A huge plus and a huge advantage for Phoenix, not just now, but moving forward, because they have a very young team. DeAndre Ayton. How about a guy in DeAndre Ayton who going into this year, people looked at it and said, you're a bust. Defensively, you're not good at all. And he absolutely turned those critics around. He was great all year this year. Showed some signs this year, though, of not being aggressive enough. But in this postseason, he's completely turned that narrative around. He's been super aggressive, right? His footwork, which coming into the year was a little iffy, has improved in the post. He's better down low. He's getting a bunch of offensive rebounds, giving this team second chances. And even if he doesn't pass the ball when he goes up after that offensive rebound, he's making all his layups. He's making all his dunks. He's getting to the line more. That was an issue with him. He didn't get to the line enough all year. He's getting to the line more now because we know when he gets to the line, he can make it. And he's not just sitting out on the three-point line in the mid-range area looking to take a shot, a jump shot. Right, he's actually getting down low, he's being physical, he's being aggressive, and he's taking advantage of his size, his speed, and his athleticism. And that's what we all wanted to see from DeAndre Ayton, and we're seeing that now. And when you see DeAndre Ayton play at this kind of level, you see how good the Phoenix Suns really are, and you're seeing it firsthand. And it's really a lot of what DeAndre Ayton has been doing. Right, we know what Chris Paul and Devin Booker have been doing. I talked about that a second ago. But a lot of this is also stemming from the fact that DeAndre Ayton has taken his game, in this postseason especially, to a complete another level. He's taken his game from a solid player to a star player, and he's done that right in front of our eyes, and he's doing it. I've just been absolutely amazed with the steps DeAndre Ayton has taken this postseason, compared to when like I said, he had a good regular season, but compared to when I watched him in the regular season, he just seems so much more aggressive now, like he wants it more. He wants to go out there and show the NBA world how good he really is and show the NBA world why he was, in fact, the number 1 pick in the draft. So, very impressed with DeAndre Ayton's game so far. Very impressed with his aggressiveness. That's one thing that people were knocking on him the last couple of years, and he has really taken that to heart and actually improved all those people wrong. He's being very aggressive on both ends of the floor, and defensively, let me get to that really quick. Defensively, he's been incredible. Like I said, it was one of the things that people kind of had against him all year. Defensively, you're not that good, this and that. But defensively, he's been absolutely incredible. He did a solid job on Jokic. Obviously, Jokic is still going to have his really good nights. Jokic is the MVP. He's one of the best players in the world. Not much you can do to completely shut that down. But Ayton did a great job against Jokic. Did a great job against Aaron Gordon when he was guarding Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon was completely not a factor in this series, really. I'll get to him in a second. But, yeah, I mean, DeAndre Ayton, just absolutely amazed with DeAndre Ayton in this postseason series. Another guy I've been really impressed with is Torrey Craig. He's playing great on both ends. He's shooting the 3-ball really well, defending really well. We knew what he could do. He showed flashes in Denver these last couple of years, but now he comes to Phoenix. He got traded at the halfway deadline, and ever since he got to Phoenix, it's like he found a new home for himself. He's played even better. He's not a big time scorer, big time bucket getter, but he is a very good defensive player who plays within his game, and he's very efficient. He doesn't take any bad shots, and he knows how to give the ball up if he has to. So, a huge guy for Phoenix and Torrey Craig. Mikal Bridges, another guy who's been great on both ends of the floor. He played very well in this series. So, this Phoenix team has a lot of young players that they build around and that they look to help win them games. And this is a team that, let me get to this player really quick. Cameron Payne. Absolutely very impressed with Cameron Payne. Cameron Payne is turning into a very, very good six-man for this team. And he's young, and he's got a lot of potential. If he can continue to score the way he can and play defense the way he can, he'll be a great six-man for this team for a long time. So this is a Phoenix team that a lot of people think has a weak bench. But when a guy like Cameron Payne and a guy like Cameron Johnson play at the level they've been playing at, it brings this bench to a whole other level, and it makes this bench respectable. And that's what Phoenix has shown the NBA community in this postseason, that their bench is very underrated and very respectable. Very respectful, my fault, talking about the Phoenix bench. So, and Torrey Craig, too, coming off the bench as well. He's been great, as I mentioned earlier. Jay Crowder has been a huge staple for this team. what he's been able to do on the defensive end, shooting the three ball. He's physical. He's the kind of guy you want in the playoffs. He's a talker too. He's not afraid to get into other players' faces. So he doesn't back down from anyone. He's a guy who the Heat really miss, I know, from last year. And we can tell what happened with the Heat this year. They really missed him. But Phoenix is really happy to have him. They got him on a pretty cheap contract too. They may have to restructure that after this year, the way he played. But Crowder's been playing great in the postseason. He's been a huge factor for this team, and he's a guy that they need to continue to play really well for this team to continue to succeed and play at the level they're playing at. Crowder's gonna have to continue to play the way he's playing, and I truly believe in Jay Crowder. He's one of those guys who always steps up and plays well when the biggest games come around, and he's the kind of guy you need on your team when you have playoff basketball. So Phoenix, man, they look great. Monty Williams is my favorite coach in the whole league. You can just tell the way he coaches this team. He's very calm. He's not aggressive with his players. He is a player guy. He lets the players play their game. He lets the players voice their opinions and talk about what kind of things the team should do to make moves and this and that. You can just tell. And when you hear them mic'd up with Monty Williams, you can tell how great he is in the huddle with his team when there's a timeout or whatever. You can tell how great he is with his team and in the circle, because he really is just looking at every guy and saying, okay, hey, you're doing great, but I need you to change this, change that. But he does it in a non-aggressive way where the players can take in everything he's saying and they know what he can. They know what kind of coach he is. So when they take in the things he's saying, they take him in, with heart, and they take him in, with realness, because they know what he's saying is correct. A great head coach at Monty Williams. He probably should have won head coach. He probably should have won coach of the year in my opinion this year. But Tom Thibodeau was obviously great as well. But I think Monty Williams should have won it. But you got to think, Monty Williams, the rotations he draws up offensively, some of the schemes he draws up on the defensive end has really helped this team. Like, this team is such a good defensive team, Phoenix. They were one of the highest rated defensive teams this year in the league compared to a team last year that they had at Phoenix, who were one of the lower rated defensive teams. It's all because Monty Williams changed so much as a coach. The bubble motivated these guys. Not just the players, but Monty Williams. They went 8-0 in the bubble, and they beat some good teams. They beat the Clippers. So for them to go 8-0 in the bubble, that kind of motivated this Phoenix team a lot, in my opinion. It showed them that they can really compete with the best teams in the league. And they're proving it right in front of our eyes. Obviously the Lakers are injury prone, this and that, but I don't want to hear people making the excuse that the Lakers were too injured to beat Phoenix. Yes, obviously the Lakers were injured, but I think Phoenix would have beat the Lakers anyway, in my opinion. Phoenix was a heck of a team. Was a heck of a team. Phoenix is a heck of a team. People are not giving this team enough credit. They beat the Lakers. And they beat Denver. And now they'll be in the Western Conference Finals facing either the Clippers or the Jazz. So let's see what's going to come next for this team. But Monty Williams is just absolutely incredible what he's done with this team all year. Absolutely incredible. The way he's been able to get these guys to build such a high chemistry. I have heard a lot of stories that the players on this team hang out a lot and they spend a lot of time together, which is always a positive because that builds chemistry. And this is a team that they have a leader. They have Chris Paul. They have a great head coach, Monty Williams. They have a young guy who is willing to do anything to get their team a win in Devin Booker. They have another young guy who's out and he's ready to prove everyone wrong in DeAndre Ayton. They have young guys like Torrey Craig and Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson and Cameron Payne, right? They have these young guys who are out to prove to the world and show the NBA community how good they really are. You have a lot of guys on this team. Jay Crowder always has a chip on his shoulder. You have a lot of guys on this team that have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to prove to everybody watching that they are not just the typical Phoenix Suns. They are a better version of the Suns than what we have seen the last couple of years. They are really real, and they are here for a long time. This team is very young. Yes, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Chris Paul. I know he's a free agent. I think they'll re-sign him, but it'll be interesting to see what happens because his age is starting to, get up there. He can still play at a high level, but his age is starting to get there, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with Chris Paul. But, man, this team, Booker, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, Cameron Johnson, Cameron Payne, Torrey Craig, Dario Saric. This is a young team with Jay Crowder, too. He's a little up there in age, but he's still solid for a while longer. This is a young team who's really out there to prove people wrong, and a young team that will be here for a long time. People, after last year when Phoenix went 8-0 in the bubble, people kind of dismissed it and said it's just a bubble. You only went 8-0, big deal, you didn't make the playoffs. Well, it was a big deal when you think about it because it gave them momentum coming into this season. It gave them a chip on their shoulder and made them think, okay, like I said earlier, we can compete with the best teams in the league. And they can. The Phoenix Suns might win the NBA championship this year. They are good enough to win the NBA championship this year. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in your mind. The Phoenix Suns, a team last year who didn't make the playoffs, who, yes, went 8-0 in the bubble, but didn't make the playoffs, is good enough to win the NBA championship this year. And it's not just because of the other team's injuries. It's because the Phoenix Suns are good enough to win the NBA championship. They're that good of a team. Devin Booker is playing like a veteran in the playoffs. He's been waiting for this moment his entire career, and he took this moment and he ran with it. Devin Booker is a superstar player in this league. They have 2 superstar players at Chris Paul and Devin Booker. And they have a bunch of young guys who are star players in this league. Very well coached. They have a great home court. They don't lose at their home court a lot, right? They are great fans. The energy is crazy in that building. This team is there. And I said before the playoffs started, I thought Devin Booker would possibly struggle because it was his first playoffs, but I thought he would get through it. And I knew the Phoenix Suns would beat the Lakers because I think the Phoenix Suns, all in all, even against a healthy Lakers team, the Phoenix Suns are the better team. I really do think the Phoenix Suns, no matter what happens with no matter what would have happened with the Lakers, whether Anthony Davis was fully healthy or Caruso was fully healthy or KCP was fully healthy or LeBron was fully healthy, I still believe the Suns were a better team than the Lakers. I think they're better coached. I think they have more depth. The Phoenix Suns are no joke of a team. The Phoenix Suns are here, and they're going to be here for a long time. So, this is a team that we're going to be looking at, and I guarantee you in the next 5 years, the Phoenix Suns will win an NBA championship. Mark my words, in the next 5 years, the Phoenix Suns will be NBA champions. At least once, if not more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say it right here. Right? I'm going to say it right here. Because my prediction that the Clippers were going to win the NBA championship, right? That was my original prediction, and I have stayed with that prediction this whole time. I have not switched. I can't really keep that prediction anymore. Obviously, I'm not going to change it in the fact because that's still my original prediction, so I have to stay with it. But deep down, I know the Clippers aren't going to win the championship now because Kawhi Leonard's out for the rest of the year. They have no chance without Kawhi Leonard. My prediction was the Clippers, if they had Kawhi Leonard and they had a fully healthy roster, which they don't have. So I can't stick with the Clippers anymore because Kawhi Leonard's out for the year, so there's no way they win. So I'm going to go out and say this. I think the Phoenix Suns are going to win the NBA championship this year. Devin Booker will be finals MVP. Phoenix Suns win the NBA championship. They beat the Brooklyn Nets in 7 games. I really do think that. Because the Clippers now aren't going to win it, so I got to give someone else an opportunity. I got to, throw out another prediction for you guys. So, can you imagine if Chris Paul gets his first ring on this Phoenix team? Absolutely crazy. If he can get his first ring with all these young guys, leading all these young guys to their first ring and getting his first ring too, it'd be absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible for Chris Paul and his legacy. And just to see Devin Booker get a ring would be so cool. To see him get to the playoffs for the first time in his career and get a ring. Crazy. But of course, they're going to have to get past Utah most likely. Maybe the Clippers, but most likely Utah now with the injury to Kawhi. They're going to have to get past Utah. Utah's no joke either. I could see Utah winning the championship too. And then if they get past Utah, they're going to have to get past Brooklyn, most likely. Maybe you get Philly, you don't know. But you're going to most likely have to get past Brooklyn. So you still got a lot of tough basketball ahead of you if you're Phoenix. But if I'm Phoenix, Chris Paul will be back. He'll be ready for the Western Conference Finals. That's nothing to worry about. Phoenix is, they're a threat. If I'm Phoenix, I'm happy with the position I'm in right now. If I'm Phoenix, I'm obviously hoping for the Clippers because Kawhi Leonard's out, and they would also have home court advantage. But probably going to get the Utah Jazz, and that's going to be a very tough series. But I could see Phoenix winning that series. So something to keep. And I can also see Utah beating the Suns. So this is a series that can go either way, right? Between Utah and Phoenix, and these are two very equal teams in my opinion, right? A lot of the same strengths. They play a lot through their guards, Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell. And then in Phoenix, they play through Chris Paul and Devin Booker, right? And then down low, they have very good presence too with Gobert and Royce O'Neal. And then, of course, Phoenix has Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton, So two teams that have good benches too for both teams, very well coached, young teams that are ready to prove something to the league. Two teams that are very comparable, very similar, and it will be a heck of a matchup, I can tell you that. It'll definitely go 7 games, I can tell you that right now. So I really hope that's the series we get. And I'm very sad for the Clippers, and I'm really sad about Kawhi Leonard. It's just really tough to go out like that, but I really do, and make sure you guys send your thoughts and your prayers to Kawhi Leonard because that's a tough injury. And also send your thoughts and your prayers to all the players who have been hurt this year and in the postseason, because it's been a tough year with injuries. So, but really I really want to see that Phoenix-Utah series, because that series is going to be so interesting. The East to me is interesting too, but no series in the East, right, will be more interesting than Phoenix and Utah. The finals will be the most interesting, obviously, but Phoenix and Utah is going to be so interesting. That'll be the most interesting series in the West that we can get. Two young teams, like I said, that are similar, going at each other. That's going to be really fun to watch. So, Phoenix is in the Western Conference Finals now. They're going to get a little bit of rest, which is good. They're going to get some time to kind of, see who they're going to play and get an opportunity to get some more practice in some other teams, right? Utah and the Clippers, they're probably just going to have to go right into it. So that could be an advantage for Phoenix, obviously. We've seen that in the past. Teams have, had an advantage by getting more rest. So we'll see what happens with Phoenix. My prediction is it's Phoenix and Utah. And like I said, I think Phoenix will win the championship, but that's going to be crazy, that Phoenix-Utah series. That could go either way. That's a toss-up, right? That's a toss-up series. So let's hope that's the series we get, because I know that's the series that most diehard NBA fans want to see, Phoenix and Utah. Because whoever thought when the year started that we were going to see Phoenix and Utah in the Western Conference Finals? Utah has to get past the Clippers first, but without Kawhi Leonard, I don't see them having any issue getting past the Clippers. So that's going to wrap it up for the Phoenix Suns podcast. I'm also dropping a Brooklyn Nets podcast today, so make sure you go and you give both of these videos on YouTube a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Give the Instagram a follow, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast, and I can't wait to talk more basketball with you guys.